Man whispers you're a fighter to wife in a coma before plug is pulled. While life is full of hard decisions, perhaps the most difficult of all involves removing a loved one from life support. Most everyone who faces this decision hopes that somehow the individual will suddenly wake up. Sadly, that's seldom the case. But there have been rare occurrences when that happens. Thinking there's no hope, the person on life support finds some kind of inner strength to fight back. Recently, a story began circulating on social media. It involves a woman from Arizona named Lyndee Pellettiere-Swapp. At 45, she's a mother and wife who's very loved. But something unexpectedly happened that would shake this family to its core. One day, her son returned home just as he'd done so many times before. He anticipated walking in to find his mom busy doing something, but that wasn't the case. Instead, he saw her sprawled out on the floor. Although he was horrified at the sight of his helpless mom, he somehow gathered enough courage to call 911. It didn't take long for the first responders to arrive. After getting Lyndee ready for transport, they quickly drove her to the nearest hospital. Making the situation even more frightening was the fact that the paramedics weren't able to determine the reason she was unconscious on the floor. Even so, they worked on her all the way to the ER where doctors and nurses took over. For 12 long, painful days, Lyndee was in a coma. The ICU doctors were incredible, and while they did their job, her husband Steve, as well as their two kids, Amanda and Steven, prayed feverishly for a miracle. Despite all the medical efforts and prayers, the doctor finally sat the family down to explain that Lyndee wouldn't recover. They'd done all they could. Their only advice was to take her off life support. As you can imagine, that was the last thing they wanted to do. But nothing could be done to bring her back. Together, Steve, Amanda, and Steven discussed the situation and mulled over the information provided by the doctor. They realized it was time to let her go. They went as far as making all the necessary arrangements to donate Lyndee's organs, as she strongly believed in this cause. The day Lyndee was to be removed from life support was exceptionally difficult for the family. With everyone gathered around her, it was time. But as her husband Steve bent over her body, he whispered in her ear, "You're a fighter. I need you to fight." But Lyndee knew something no one else did. She wasn't brain dead at all. She could hear everything people in her room were saying. She remembered her niece reading to her and doctors talking about her prognosis. As she explained it, she felt locked in. Her husband's words changed everything. Those words spoken by Steve made Lyndee realize that she needed to fight. Somehow she had to let the doctors know she was very much alive. Mustering up every ounce of strength she had, she whispered, "I'm a fighter." They all heard her. Finally, people knew she wasn't dead. Since that ordeal, Lyndee has been on a long road to recovery. During the past 4 years since her son found her on the floor, she's had to learn to walk, feed herself, and do basic things we all take for granted. Lyndee also faced some serious health problems that resulted in several surgeries. But today, she's almost back to normal. As to what happened, there are no answers. The only thing this family knows is the combination of excellent medical care and prayers saved the woman they love. Please share this with your friends and family.